You guys ready? Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today at this conference to announce the filing of a federal lawsuit against the City of Austin, as well as 3 individual police officers involved in the shooting death of Rajan Munasinghe here at this very location almost 2 years ago. The first person we'd like to speak today is the brother of Mr. Munasinghe, Mark Munasinghe.
Thank you, friends, for being here. You guys have been a rock of support for our family, and you continue to be with us. I want to thank you for all of your time and energy with our family. To the media, thank you as well. My name is Mark Munasinghe. I am the oldest brother of Rajan. Today we are announcing a lawsuit against the City of Austin and individual officers for the wrongful death of my brother Rajan. Raj was a legal gun owner protecting his home from an intruder. Responding officers arrived without lights and sirens, didn't announce themselves as police, and ambushed Raj on his front porch. After shooting him, he was denied life-saving aid as he lay handcuffed on these very steps. It's been 2 years since his death, and we have been unsuccessful in working with the city to influence policy. We have determined that a financial deterrent is the only thing that will bring about progress and force Austin to embrace policies for de-escalation and providing life-saving aid. No one life is more valuable than another. However, previous city payouts have done nothing to move the needle. Rajan was the founder of a multi-billion-dollar tech company, and the actual damages for this suit will be very, very high. Our family pledges to use the funds from this lawsuit towards ensuring this does not happen to anyone else. Additionally, we're demanding meaningful reform from the APD, changes to the general order to clearly prioritize de-escalation and require officers to save lives, creating a system of financial and social rewards for officers who successfully de-escalate potentially dangerous situations and save lives. All officers must get updated and regular training to use when someone needs life-saving aid. And lastly, ensure that officers are disciplined for failure to de-escalate and failure to render aid. It is the right of every Texan, every American, to lawfully bear arms and defend our homes and families. This lawsuit and our demand for meaningful reform to APD policies on de-escalation and rendering aid will protect the public. With that, I will pass to my mother, Ruth Munasinghe.
Let's hold for just a second to see if he has any audience.
Thank you for being here, press and friends and family. Thank you. Exactly 2 years ago this week, I saw my son Rajan alive for the last time. He woke me up at 6 a.m. to say goodbye as he left Los Angeles for Austin with a plan to return home just in a few days. he asked me to take care of his beloved dog, Lulu. How I wish I had gotten up and hugged him that morning, because I would have never imagined that his life would be cut short by the Austin police later that evening. When I think back on his life, my beautiful son, I am truly blessed to have known this young person for 33 years. Rajan, like Mark said, was a very successful tech entrepreneur, but he was a philanthropist, a caring uncle, a loyal friend, loving brother, son, and an amazing dog daddy. He seemed to always have a sense for when to provide a kind word or a helping hand to someone who needed it. Rajan wasn't much of a talker, but he was a man of action. He took care of the need at hand and never expected anything in return. He simply gave and gave. Since his passing, one of our family's favorite passages from the Bible is from Matthew 25, verses 31 to 45. It reminds of who Rajan was, and it reminds us of how we should do life. You know, I'm sure Jesus welcomed him with open arms and said, "Well done, good and faithful servant." So after Rajan's murder, my husband and I attended court cases involving police fatal shootings. We simply wanted to prepare ourselves for the upcoming criminal trial and also support the grieving families. Our observation was the police tried to cover up and justify their actions by portraying the deceased as a criminal. Somehow they deserve to die. You know, I ask, where is the sanctity of life that we all believe in? I cried with the victims' families because I understand their pain. What happened to Rajan and all the others is so unfair. It's wrong. You know, this mother, she holds the mayor, the city council, the city manager, the APD responsible for the loss of these lives. The people of Austin deserve better. Rajan should be here with us today. His brothers, Mark and Johan, need him. His friends and family need him. His Lulu needs him. And I need him. In closing, I can tell you the holidays and special occasions are very difficult for us. Looking back, I realize that you never know what lies ahead. So make sure you always take the time to give that hug and tell your loved ones, I love you. Thank you.
Over the last 2 years, the Munasinghe family has shown incredible strength and incredible resolve in the face of an absolutely unspeakable tragedy. During those 2 years, they have fought for reforms and they have fought for change within APD and within the city of Austin itself. And so what I want to make clear is that the filing of this federal lawsuit this morning does not represent the first resort of the Munasinghe family, but instead represents the last resort of the Munasinghe family in order to try to effectuate change within the city that they love. Our hope is that the filing of today's lawsuit will get the city's attention, will get the APD's attention, and will rally support behind the idea that we deserve better as citizens of Austin than what the Munasinghe family received. This lawsuit focuses on both the city of Austin and 3 individual defendants who are police officers within the city. The lawsuit alleges a wrongful death claim against all defendants, an unreasonable force claim against Officer Sanchez, a failure to render aid claim against Officer Sanchez, Officer Markert, and Officer Brito, all of whom left Rajan Monasinghe to die on his front porch, handcuffed to bleed out, instead of rendering aid. And finally, we have causes of action against the City of Austin itself for policies that not only allowed for this to occur, but in fact encouraged the result that happened. With that, we're open to any questions.
What's the dollar figure that it's seeking?
So the lawsuit does not seek a specific dollar amount. That'll be determined by a jury. However, the components of a claim like this come into two categories. One is economic damages, and one is pain and suffering damages. The pain and suffering damages are exclusively within the province of the jury, and we think that the fact finders in this case will take very seriously the fact that Mr. Monasinghe was left to bleed out over 6 minutes when he could have had aid rendered to him when he was obviously not a threat to anyone. He never was a threat, but he certainly wasn't a threat after he'd been shot 5 times. The second element, though, is economic damages. And in police shooting cases throughout time, wrongful death cases throughout time, there's always a mention of, well, from an economic perspective, this person's life wasn't worth as much because they only made a certain amount of money and they only would have lived a certain number of years. And so defendants have always relied upon that as a defense to lessen the amount of money that would be paid in economic damages. If that rationale makes sense, then the opposite rationale has to also make sense. And when you have someone who was the founder of an incredibly successful tech company, one of the most successful ones in the state of Texas, now valued in the billions of dollars, then the opposite is also true. And so our preliminary expert analysis shows that economic damages alone would account for over $130 million in the next 10 years. Yes?
Can you give a brief update on where the criminal case stands right now?
We're going to leave that up to the district attorney's office. We have every confidence in the DA's ability to prosecute this case in the criminal courts, and we'll let them speak for the progress of the criminal case.
Aside from the accountability you're looking for from the officers in the lawsuit, what exactly do you want to gain from the city's perspective when it comes to why they're named in this lawsuit?
Sure. Mark, do you want to address that?
The city has yet to enforce the Office of Police Oversight. These were voted on by the citizens of Austin. They have not seen any progress for accountability and transparency in the city. As we have mentioned, we have tried for the last 2 years to meet with city officials, and we're at a point now where we feel like this financial hit is something that's going to get their attention. So for us, the two main things are around de-escalation and the policy to render aid after someone is hurt. Those are two things that we believe had come into effect that night, Rajan would still be with us.
As you know, Austin Police has signed a new labor contract. It's giving them a raise along with parts of the Police Oversight Act being implemented. There was some pushback with how much exactly. When you heard that this contract was passed, what was your reaction, knowing, like you just said, that there's something lacking there in that contract?
Yeah, we're not as fully familiar with all the details of it. It's yet to be seen if the Office of Police Oversight measures for transparency will be enacted. We're hoping that it will, but again, it's left to be seen whether the contract will enforce what the voters really wanted.
What does it mean for you to make this announcement here today in front of this house?
Yeah, it's very hard for us to even come here. First time we came, his clothes and the blood were still all over the driveway. So it's a reminder every time we come why we're fighting, what we're fighting for, and so this doesn't happen to anybody.
Any other questions?
Next steps in this process, or how does that kind of unfold?
Sure. So the next step in the formal process will be to serve the City of Austin and the officers. That'll then begin a period of time where the city will have anywhere from 30 to 60 days to respond formally to the lawsuit. And our hope is that during that time, we can start the process of working proactively with the city to try to come up with a solution that'll benefit all the citizens of Austin and try to turn this unspeakable tragedy into something that can make life better for all of us. As I said before, both Mark and Ruth Munasinghe will be available for one-on-one interviews, so to the extent any of you would like to have those, we'll be available for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone got hard copies? If you need soft copies emailed to you, if that'd be easier, give me or Jordan your contact information and we'll get that email to you right away. Yeah, thank you.